Leave MPs have followed Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg's demand for the Irish backstop to be dropped indefinitely, giving Mrs May a glimmer of hope she may well succeed in getting her Plan B Brexit deal through Parliament. But during the most heated Prime Minister's questions sessions yet, she learned victory would come at a price after Brexiteers agreed she must sacrifice herself in the process. A former cabinet minister linked to Mr Rees-Mogg's European research group ERG told BuzzFeed said dozens of rebels would vote for Mrs May's deal if she agreed to step down as Prime Minister before autumn, which is the season UK-EU trade talks start. The source said, it could be that the best-case scenario is that a deal passes and the PM agrees to go immediately afterwards. The shocking revelation came as the Prime Minister told the House of Commons she was remarkably close to gaining the concessions on her deal, such as a time limit for the Irish backstop, which has plagued Brexit negations since the referendum result in June 2016. See below for the latest updates. On Brexit latest, a furious cabinet row erupted yesterday between Tory Remainers and Brexiteers. Image Getty PA 7:50 PM update, Cooper amendment passed. In House of Commons, Labour MP Yvette Cooper's amendment was passed by the House of Commons by an eye-watering majority of 482 MPs voted 502/20 in favour of the amendment to pin Theresa May to her commitments made to the Commons yesterday, including allowing MPs to delay Brexit if her deal is rejected again next month. 7:30 PM, Yvette Cooper amendment. Next, Labour former Minister Yvette Cooper's amendment attempts to pin Theresa May to her commitments made to the Commons yesterday, including allowing MPs to delay Brexit if her deal is rejected again next month. It is expected to pass because the government has not opposed it, but Tory backbenchers angry at Mrs May's decision to offer MPs a chance to delay Brexit forced a vote. Commons is now voting on my amendment, which simply notes holding votes in event of UK facing no deal. The government said they accepted, but some of ERG have decided to vote against. How desperate are they to get no deal? pic.twitter.com/lanefask, Yvette Cooper at Yvette Cooper, February 27, 20197.29 PM, SNP. Amendment defeated. The Commons has rejected the SNP's attempt to block a no-deal Brexit. MPs voted 324 to 288 against the amendment, a majority of 36.7.2 PM update. SNP amendment up next. The MPs are now voting on an amendment by the Scottish National Party which seeks to rule out a no-deal Brexit. It isn't expected to pass. 7:10 PM update. Labour amendment rejected in Commons vote. An amendment by the Labour Party insisting on 5 soft Brexit demands, including a customs union and single market access to the EU, has been rejected. Votes recorded were 240/323, meaning Labour will now push for a second referendum, as agreed before the vote took place. The Labour amendment was rejected. Image Sky News 6:45 PM update. Dame Caroline Superman and Jack Dromey announced Brexit delay amendment accepted. Before votes announced in a joint statement, the MPs for Meriden and Birmingham said, the government has just confirmed the acceptance of all the proposals in our amendments. There will not now be a no-deal Brexit in 30 days' time because there is not a majority in the House for crashing out without a deal. We will not plunge over the cliff on the 29th of March into an abyss, making the country poorer in every sense of the word. The statement added, there will now be an extension of the Brexit deadline to allow for serious cross-party dialogue on a better deal to protect the British national interest. Spellman and Dromey declare victory. There will not now be a no-deal Brexit in 30 days' time, and the government has confirmed the acceptance of all the proposals in our amendments. pic.twitter.com/ZWOCSWHHG Faisal Islam at Faisal Islam, February 27, 20196 PM. Update. Gibraltar says remaining in EU would be best possible outcome. Gibraltar has expressed so much concern over a possible extension of Article 50 and the subsequent delay of Brexit that Britons living on the have said remaining in the EU would be the best possible outcome. Chief Minister of Gibraltar, Fabian Picardo, said that Possible final results of this process are still uncertain. In a statement issued by the Gibraltar government after Prime Minister Theresa May said she is in the process of negotiating alternative agreements with the EU leaders, Mr. Picardo stressed that the best option would be the revocation of Article 50 and remain in the EU, before emphasizing that the position of the ROC is to continue preparing for any case. He added, therefore, we have continued to work intensely to cover all reasonably expected results in order to offer the results we require, certainty for all citizens and businesses alike. We will continue with this work and collaborating with the United Kingdom, the European institutions and the member states, including Spain, to ensure that all our citizens are equally and reciprocally protected in any case. Britons living in Gibraltar added that following calls from the Labour Party for a second referendum, cancelling Article 50 and remaining in the EU would be the best possible outcome. Cooper passed by 502 to 20. Looks like a substantial number of Tory MPs abstained on the PM's own commitments to the House. Labour Whips. At Labour Whips, February 27, 2019, Mr. Picardo stressed that the best option would be the revocation of Article 50. Image Getty, 5:50 p.m. Update. Yvette Cooper gloats her amendment to delay Brexit as hugely patriotic. Labour MP Yvette Cooper gloated her amendment to delay Article 50 was hugely patriotic, as the House of Commons gathers to vote on the bill later this evening. The Home Affairs Select Committee chairwoman added she believed her actions were hugely patriotic, and not those of mutinous plotters, saboteurs and blackmailers, as some Brexiteer MPs have alleged. She said, I frankly think it's hugely patriotic to be trying to make sure we can stand up for British manufacturing, make sure the NHS can get its medicines, and make sure British families across the country don't have to pay higher food prices in shops. Yvette Cooper gloated her amendment to delay Article 50 was hugely patriotic. Image Getty, 5:10 p.m. Update. SNP blast expense of no-deal Brexiteer SNP's Stephen Gethin said continuing to have no deal was irresponsible, irrational and very, very expensive. Tory John Barron, Basildon and Billericay said he accepted there was a need for compromise on both sides on the withdrawal agreement and that after more than 4 decades of integration one could not move from imperfection to perfection in one bound. On the backstop, he called on the government to ensure there was a meaningful change to address the fact that, at the moment, we could be locked in an indefinite backstop which only the EU could free us from. He said, no sensible person would enter into a sort of relationship of that sort. It is madness. He added, I think it's still within our grasp to achieve a withdrawal agreement that could bring us all together. Labour's policy on a second referendum was, he said, absolutely scandalous, adding, it was condescending, but it's also contradictory and dangerous because we made a clear pledge that we would respect that referendum result. 5 p.m. Update. Prince William to call for unity and calm on Brexit during Northern Ireland visit. Prince William will follow the lead of the Queen and call for calm over Brexit. It has been revealed as the father of 3 made a last-minute trip to Belfast. William, who is second in line to the throne, landed for a 2-day trip in the city with wife Kate, Duchess of Cambridge, and is expected to say the UK as a whole needs strong leadership during a speech at a gala dinner tonight. His speech comes as Westminster faces a deadlock over Brexit following news an amendment will be tabled to delay Article 50 by 2 months, allowing for more time to secure a deal. In January, the Queen said at a visit in Norfolk she preferred respecting different points of view. Her words were taken as a nod to Brexit. Prince William will follow the lead of the Queen and call for calm over Brexit. Image Getty, 4:30 p.m. Update. Threats of social unrest must not stand in way of second referendum, says Labour's Keir Starmer told the House of Commons that threats of social unrest must not prevent another Brexit referendum being held. He said, it was been put to me earlier that this is a course we should not adopt because of the social unrest it might cause. We're trying to prevent no deal, and I do not think no deal is going to be orderly and smooth. I think it's going to lead to huge problems up and down the country. The idea we wouldn't take the right next step is a matter of principle because we thought there might be social disorder is a very, very slippery slope. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn announced days ago he supported calls for a second referendum. Jeremy Corbyn announced days ago he supported calls for a second referendum, pictured with circular image Getty, 4:25 p.m. update, UK secures WTO agreement, US praises importance of Britain has secured a deal with the World Trade Organization, WTO, to remain within its Government Procurement Agreement, GPA, after it leaves the EU. Britain is a member of the GPA, whose members open up the combined $1.7 trillion, £1.28 trillion government procurement markets to each other's firms by virtue of its EU membership. Diplomats agreed Britain's continuing membership post-Brexit in principle in November, saying few changes would be needed and GPA members had an interest in keeping Britain within the club. British Ambassador Julian Braithwaite said, "Today's decision underlines our determination to minimize any disruption, however we leave the European Union," he said. The European Union, Montenegro and Switzerland had to amend their own membership terms to ensure continuity. Members of the agreement have to buy their way in by opening up the procurement markets sufficiently to persuade the rest of the club to reciprocate. The British mission's statement said membership would ensure British taxpayers and public sector organisations, including government departments, continue to benefit from increased choice and value for money on contracts which are open to international competition, the statement said. The agreement will continue to protect vital public services such as the NHS. World Trade Organization, WTO, Director General Dr. Roberto Azevedo, image Getty, 4:20 p.m. update. A former Tory cabinet minister says government and Labour within touching distance of agreement on Brexit deal. Caroline Superman told the House of Commons the frontbenchers are closer than ever on agreeing on a deal. She added she would not press for a vote on her amendment at tonight's ballot. Her amendment would establish time for a Commons debate tomorrow on the Yvette Cooper bill allowing the Commons to legislate to rule out a no-deal Brexit, 4:17 p.m. Update: Cooper amendment to delay Brexit not necessary, says May spokesman. A May spokesman said Yvette Cooper's amendment to delay Article 50 should a credible Brexit deal not be achieved by mid-March, 'tis not necessary. The spokesman said, "We would consider that amendment not to be necessary because it simply confirms the words the PM delivered from the dispatch box yesterday. On that basis it's unlikely we'd oppose something which simply confirmed the Prime Minister's own words." 3:45 p.m. update: Sobri blasts government for assuring rights of EU citizens in UK post-Brexit. Anna Sobri has condemned the government for failing to act sooner to assure the rights of EU citizens living in the UK post-Brexit. David Lidington today assured the House of Commons an amendment put down by Conservative MP Alberto Costa aimed at protecting the rights of EU citizens living in the UK would be accepted should a no-deal Brexit take place. Though Mr. Costa quit his role hours before, remained Ms. Sobri demanded to know why the government was only looking at this 2.5 years into the negotiations. She said the Northern Ireland Select Committee travelled the world trying to find a substitute to the backstop, adding, and they came to the conclusion there are no alternatives, some considerable time ago. Very sorry to lose it. Alberto Costa hampers my PPS, but fully understand his passion for the issue he is championing today, and which has done since Brexit. I am very grateful for his hard work, support and good humour in his time at Gov Scotland. David Mundell, at David Mundell UCT, February 27, 20192.47 p.m. Update: Amendments selected by Bercow. Speaker John Bercow has selected 5 of the 12 proposed amendments to be considered by MPs this evening. The amendments are: Labour Amendment A, Labour's bid to seek support for its 5 soft Brexit demands including a customs union and single market access. Amendment K, the SNP proposal requiring the government to immediately rule out a no-deal under any and all circumstances. Spellman Amendment C, Conservative former Minister Dame Caroline Spellman's plan to pave the way for backbench legislation to allow MPs to extend the Article 50 process. Costa Amendment B, Tory MP Alberto Costa's attempt to seek a treaty on citizens' rights After Brexit, Co-operamentment F. Labour former Minister Yvette Cooper's bid to pin Theresa May to her commitments made to the Commons yesterday, including allowing MPs to delay Brexit if her deal is rejected again next month. 2:21 p.m. Update: EU is ready for Brexit delay. Request: Romanith European Union is ready to respond to any UK request for an extension to the Brexit timetable, Romania's Minister for European Affairs has said. George Chambers said any problems such as the European Parliament elections can be overcome if there is the political will. He told Reuters that Romania, as the current holder of the EU's rotating presidency, was still making plans for a disorderly Brexit, but was more optimistic after Prime Minister Theresa May paved the way for delay beyond the planned departure date of March 29. Romania's George Chambers has said the EU is ready to respond to any request for a Brexit delay. Image Getty. 2 p.m. Update: Brexit, what happens next? Here are all the key upcoming Brexit dates. Brexit latest, what happens next? Image Daily Express. 1:42 p.m. Update: France and Germany indicate support Brexit delay. Angela Merkel has said she is prepared to give Britain a little more time, if needed, to avoid no deal. She was speaking in Paris, where she is meeting French President Emmanuel Macron. Mr. Macron clarified the EU's position, saying Article 50 could only be delayed if it is justified by a new choice of the British, suggesting Brussels would only agree to delay Brexit on condition of a second referendum. Mr. Macron added he could in no way accept an extension without a clear objective. Chancellor Merkel and President Macron have indicated they could support an extension to Article 50. Image Getty. 1:29 p.m. Update: May does not oppose Costa Amendment. Downing Street No. 10 has moved to dismiss suggestions Alberto Costa was sacked because he tabled an amendment with which Theresa May disagrees. A senior Downing Street source said the Prime Minister does not oppose Mr. Costa's proposal, but that it was convention members of the administration should not table amendments to government motions. Theresa May's spokesman explained the Prime Minister had not voiced opposition to the aims of Mr. Costa's amendment, but warned the EU did not believe it had the authority to seal such a treaty. The spokesman said, the Prime Minister never said that she would oppose it. What the Prime Minister has pointed out was the challenges on the EU side. 1:08 p.m. Update: Alberto Costa quits after controversial amendment. Downing Street has confirmed Alberto Costa has left his role as a parliamentary private secretary after he tabled an amendment on post-Brexit citizens' rights. No. 10 says he was asked to resign amid confusion as to whether the government supported his amendment. Yesterday the Prime Minister indicated she would not support the proposal, but earlier today Home Secretary Sajid Javid said there was nothing wrong with it. Mr. Costa's amendment has received widespread support from all parties, including 60 Tory backbenchers and Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. The proposal calls for Theresa May to seek a separate agreement with the EU, whether or not Britain leaves with a deal, enshrining rights for UK citizens in Europe and vice versa. One source told The Guardian, it seems ridiculous for the government to be sacking a parliamentary private secretary over an amendment that has cross-party support and the support of upwards of 60 Tory backbenchers and Sajid Javid. Mr. Costa's amendment has support of Brexiteers Jacob Rees-Mogg, Dominic Raab and Ian Duncan Smith. 12:34 p.m. Update: No deal Brexit threatens 100,000 jobs in Scotland. SNPTHE Scottish National Party's Westminster leader Ian Blackford warned thousands of jobs in Scotland are under threat from a no-deal Brexit during Prime Minister's questions. He said the Scottish government's top economic advisor has warned this could create a recession worse than the 2008 financial crisis. Mr. Blackford said, the Prime Minister must rule out no deal, right here, right now, why is she still blackmailing the people of this country? Mrs. May replied, there are only two ways for ensuring that no deal is taken off the table. We will not revoke Article 50 because we're leaving the EU, so the only way to take no deal off the table is to vote for the deal. Keir Starmer here picking apart the weakness of the political declaration. A fair Few Tory MPs looking on in agreement. Tom McTague at McTague, February 27, 201,912.07 p.m. Update, PMQs Live. Prime Minister Theresa May and Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn are going head-to-head in the House of Commons. Both are defending the Brexit U-turns this week. Read more at PMQs Live. Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn go head-to-head after Brexit U-turns. Theresa May went head-to-head with Jeremy Corbyn at PMQs. Image Sky News, 11:16 a.m. Update. Government will support citizens' rights amendment. Home Secretary Sajid Javid has said the government will support backbench Tory MP Alberto Costa's amendment to protect rights after Brexit, despite the Prime Minister yesterday indicating she would not. Mr. Javid gave the government's support for his Conservative colleague while giving evidence at a meeting of the Home Affairs Select Committee. He said there was nothing wrong with Mr. Costa's amendment and it is understood. The Prime Minister will address the issue at PMQs, which begins in about 45 minutes. Mr. Costa is demanding Theresa May pursues a separate treaty with the European Union to secure the rights of UK citizens in the EU and vice versa, even if there is a no-deal Brexit. His amendment already has the support of about 60 Conservative backbench MPs from both sides of the Brexit divide, as well as MPs from across the House of Commons, including Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, the independent groups Shuka Amuna, Liberal Democrats leader Sir Vince Cable, former Green Party leader Caroline Lucas and the DUP's Nigel Dodds. The proposal requires the Prime Minister to seek at the earliest opportunity a joint UK-EU commitment to adopt Part 2 of the Withdrawal Agreement on Citizens' Rights and ensure its implementation prior to the UK's exiting the European Union, whatever the outcome of negotiations on other aspects of the Withdrawal Agreement. Sajid Javid has confirmed the government will support an amendment on citizens' rights. Image Getty, 10:38 a.m. Update. May says Brexit deal can be secured if MPs do their duty and hold the nerve. Theresa May believes her withdrawal agreement can be secured if MPs carry out their duty to see through Brexit and hold the nerve as the clock ticks down to March 29, writing in the Daily Mail. Mrs. May said, "In the discussions I have had with the leadership of the European Union and the leaders of every EU member state, I have found a real determination to find a way through which allows the UK to leave with a deal. I firmly believe that a deal is within our grasp. Our absolute focus should be on working to get a deal and leaving on March 29. Doing so would give businesses and citizens the certainty they deserve. Parliament should do its duty so that our country can move forward. We want to leave the EU with a deal that gives us the best of both worlds, a close relationship with our nearest neighbours and the chance to make the most of our talents and resources by building new relationships with growing economies around the world." Theresa May has told MPs to do their duty and hold the nerve as March 29 approaches. Image Getty, 9:34 a.m. Update. Brexit delay may have a silver lining, says Rees-Mogg. Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg has responded to the Prime Minister's pledge to offer MPs a vote on extending Article 50 and what conditions he would support a renewed Brexit deal. The North East Somerset MP said any changes to the backstop Mrs. May brings back from Brussels must have equal legal weight to the withdrawal agreement. He said a satisfactory change that would work could be an appendix, saying, "You can add to the deal without reopening it." He denied voting down the withdrawal agreement impedes Brexit, saying most people supporting the agreed deal are reluctant about Brexit and want a deal that doesn't really take us out of the European Union because they didn't want to leave in the first place. Mr. Rees-Mogg told Sky News, "We want to leave properly," he said. While he would not vote for a delay, there could still be a silver lining to not departing as scheduled. Mr. Rees-Mogg explained any delay to the end of June would still keep Britain in the same position as it currently is, but the extension could allow enough time for discussions and an agreement to replace the backstop with the so-called Malthouse Compromise. He said, "I would much rather leave on March 29, which is what 17.4 meters are expecting us to do." However, he believes a delay to Brexit is likely. Jacob Rees-Mogg has said a Brexit delay could come with a silver lining. Image Sky News 9:07 a.m. update. Today's Brexit amendments, explained the MPS, will pack the House of Commons for another round of Brexit amendment voting this evening. Ahead of the vote, Speaker John Bercow will this morning select which amendments MPs can have a say on. The amendments are not binding but carry significant weight, meaning the Prime Minister will likely have to follow MPs' decisions. EU chiefs in Brussels will also be keenly watching this evening's developments in Parliament, expected to begin about 7 p.m, as the votes give a clear indication of what MPs are likely to support to get the withdrawal agreement passed. Mr. Bercow will choose from a number of amendments, including those proposed by Jeremy Corbyn, Labour's former Minister of Cooper, Tory backbencher Alberto Costa, Conservative and Labour allies Dame Caroline Spelman and Jack Dromey, a joint suggestion from the independent group's Chris Leslie backed by the SNP. Liberal Democrats and Plaid Cymru, and a separate amendment proposed by the SNP. Cooper's amendment seeks to pin the Prime Minister to commitments she made in the Commons yesterday to hold a vote to delay Brexit if her deal is rejected again. Costa's amendment demands a treaty on citizens' rights after Brexit and calls for a separate agreement with the EU even in the event of no deal. Spelman-Dromey cross-party duo tabled a successful amendment last month opposing a no-deal Brexit. Their follow-up amendment aims to pave the way for allowing MPs to extend Article 50. Labour Jeremy Corbyn's amendment seeks support for his party's Brexit demands. Labour want any Brexit deal to include a customs union and access to the single market, alignment on rights and protections, commitments on participation in EU agencies and detailed future security arrangements with the EU. Leslie Thus amendment demands a second Brexit referendum. If passed, it would order the Prime Minister to table a motion for debate and a decision by March 8 on how another public vote could be held. SNP's Westminster leader Ian Blackford is asking the Prime Minister to immediately rule out no-deal Brexit under any and all circumstances. 8:52 a.m. update. No deal is not probable. More from Michel Barnier. Michael Barnier added he does not think no-deal Brexit is likely, saying it is only a possibility, not a probability. However, the 68-year-old Frenchman conceded no deal was at risk that gets worse as Brexit Day approaches. Mr. Barnier said, "It is not accurate to say that the no deal is the most likely scenario. It's a possibility. This is not yet a probability, and I do my best as the European negotiator with my teams and the support of 27 heads of state, parliament, presidents of institutions, Donald Tusk and Juncker. I am working to have a deal, and that the agreement that I negotiated on behalf of the EU with Theresa May, not against her, but with her, is approved by the UK." Mr. Barnier staunchly added Europe will be ready for no deal if it occurs, saying governments across the bloc have already taken many concrete and precise measures to prepare. He cited France, Ireland, the Netherlands and Belgium as particularly ready, adding, "Everyone is prepared for this scenario that no one wants, but we will be ready. There will be contingency measures, emergency measures that will be taken unilaterally by us, the EU, as the British will do. That's the problem. There will not be an agreement between us. We will take measures. For example, for the visa issue, the UK will be put in the list of countries for which there's no need for a visa to enter, only a passport, and it will be necessary for the British to take a reciprocal measure." Additional reporting by Maria Ortega. Michel Barnier has said Britain has underestimated the consequences of Brexit. Image Getty. 8:43 a.m. update. Brexit has countless consequences which British have underestimated. Barnier, the EU's chief Brexit negotiator, Michel Barnier, has slammed Britain's approach to leaving the EU in an extraordinary outburst at the 17.4 million Leave voters. Mr. Barnier told French media, "Brexit has consequences and I have said it from the first day of my appointment. The consequences are countless, human and social for citizens. Economic and financial, technical and legal. They are countless. They have been underestimated, especially on the British side. It is precisely because there is a lot of uncertainty and problems that we have done this document that I have here. However, Mr. Barnier went on to offer a Brexit lifeline to Theresa May, adding, he still believes the withdrawal agreement can be saved. He said, 600 pages where for hundreds of subjects we propose legal answers where Brexit, like all divorces, creates uncertainties. I think we can save this deal and that the British will approve it. Additional reporting by Maria Ortega, 8:18 AM update. Brexit delay vote, an option on sanity. Theresa May's pledge to allow MPs a vote on delaying Brexit has been described as an option on sanity by a leading business figure. Carolyn Fairbairn, Director General of the Confederation of British Industry, told BBC Radio 4's Today programme, it is a small step forward to have a mechanism for delay. It feels like an option on sanity, if you like, because here we are 30 days out from March 29th. Business is not ready, government is not ready, it would be a wrecking ball on our economy, so that is a small step forward.